Uh. Okay, cool. Alright. Lou Veller. Also, hello, Minty. Selecting live chat right now, and I'm going to share this around. This beans and rice stuff that I made, it tastes good, but it's like a weird flavor. It's like Triscuits. It tastes like fucking Triscuits. I don't understand that. I put a lot of good seasonings in it, but I don't know why it would taste like Triscuits. I like Triscuits. Nothing wrong with Triscuits. But it absolutely tastes like fucking Triscuits. And it's goddamn, it's beans and rice with like an egg in it and some seasonings. And it tastes like Triscuits. Deep conversation already. Live weekly engagement stream. That. And then throw this in here, and I'm going to tag Stein and that. And then here. And acolytes. Cool. One, actually two more. Since I have a poster of Heath Ledger's Joker in the background, what are my thoughts on the Dark Knight movie? Fucking Minty wants to know. Well, see, my thoughts are that crime relies on a variety of networking potentials, and those are lubricated by cash. So, I actually, I think, this is me, okay, I don't endorse terrorism, YouTube, but, burning that money and, jarring the financial system eventually resulted in a dramatic drawdown in crime rates. So it's like, who's the real crime fighter? Like, wasn't it just gonna keep going and going? And didn't Bruce, like, vaguely enable it by being at the top of the class list? Like, there comes a point when you gotta start taking some fucking responsibility, right? Isn't that what Bruce should do by not being, at the top of the problem chain? Right? I have that, I don't endorse all of his actions, obviously, in the movie. But, I feel like there can be a case to be made that he was a more effective crime fighter than Bruce Wayne, and that it proves, at least within the framework of The Dark Knight, and also other frameworks I could mention, that, maybe the problem is the fact that money and the industrial complexes exist to begin with, and that the reason that there's crime is because of the way society is set up to make certain people fail and protect the property of others. Maybe. You know? I'm not endorsing everything he did, but I feel like there's a conversation that could be had there. So, that's my statement. I feel like the Joker is forever and eternally a symbol of the underclass and their frustration, and the fact that sometimes all you can do is laugh at it, because if you do anything else, it won't be pretty. And so maybe, at the very least, treat people better and stop forming an underclass that's so constantly and reliably easy to exploit, and you won't get Jokers so much. You know. I'm gonna have some hot sauce on this fucking Triscuit flavored rice. Hello, Cold Highway. Yeah, my film criticism in this regard is that I feel like, okay, here's an excellent piece of self-aware criticism in superhero media. And I love this so fucking much, okay? I love this so fucking much. The Defenders on Netflix, when they got this ragtag group of unconventional loners, all in the same superhero team, they're all severely psychologically compromised and severely fucked up from the circumstances from which they were born, effectively, as the superhero, right? Well, or just the normal hero, in the case of Punisher. When you get these people together, they're not going to agree on methodology because they all have different methodologies, and that's what made it interesting. And one of the things that was so fucking cool was Luke Cage calling out Iron Fist for saying, it was basically like, you know what? You really only beat up poor people a lot, don't you? Why don't we go try and do the same thing that you do to these poor people, to the rich people you're affiliated with, and get a lot of your money from, that you use to get all this high-tech stuff and keep your position? Why don't we do the same thing to the rich fucks at the top of the tower that you're doing to the poor people at the bottom? That's great criticism. Holy shit, it blew a lot of shit open for me. And that was like years and years ago, when I realized that the reason I always get such a bad feeling about a lot of this, superhero media, they're just beating the fuck out of the proles. They're keeping these disposable pawns in check. And they're not doing anything to subvert the actual structural systemic problems that are causing a lot of this crime to begin with. They're not here to, viva la revolution. They're not here to, upend the structure. They're here to, hey, the status quo has been upended somewhat, and it hurt a lot of people in the tumult. We're going to put it back the way it was, and then basically leave it there. That's what a lot of superhero media has historically been. It's like, well, you know what? Gosh darn it. It might not have been perfect before, but at least we didn't have Thanos snapping half the universe away. So let's get back to not perfect. It was fine. No, it wasn't. There's a reason that he thought that half the universe needed to fucking Malthusian itself away, And while I disagree with that, and obviously he's evil, let's be super clear here that humanity has not been handling the Earth fucking well. And so to hear from, like, these heroes being like, oh yeah, you know what? We're gonna preserve things the way they should have been. We're gonna keep things the way they need to be, and we're gonna fight the crime that's like, you know, causing problems and making things disturbed, and you know, maybe, or maybe you're just maintaining the same system that created these problems to begin with, and it's gonna be more complicated than that. And so when Luke Cage told Iron Fist that, hey, maybe part of the problem is that a lot of this mentality is, as long as we keep people in line, the system can go on as it was before. Maybe the system shouldn't go on as it was before. And it's also sort of like a nod in my warped conspiracy anarcho view of, it's sort of a criticism of MAGA. It's like, you know, make America great again. Well, what the fuck do you mean by that? When was it fucking awesome? I forget who had this great rant about it, but there was this guy who had this great, is like an actor or something. What do you mean when you say make America great again? I think it might have been the guy who plays Walter White, and I can't think of his name right now. But he went on this great rant, I believe it was him, about how MAGA is basically racist because it's saying, hey, make America great again. Bring us back to a point before all this. And it's no reservations about that. It's no like, hey, maybe we shouldn't go back to a time when a white chick could lie about a dude touching her and have him hanged for it. Cranston, yes, Minty, you are correct. I think that's the guy who had this rant, and I'm, you know, if, you know, actually, let me see if I can find a copy of this rant, because if I can, I'm going to play that on the stream here, because I might as well. I feel like that's worth it. I feel like it's worth it. Even if it gets my content fucked, I kind of don't mind for this particular rant. Let's do, Cranston MAGA in Twitter search. See if that does it for me. Yeah, okay. It was Cranston. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna see if I can fuck this into being here. Alright. So, window capture. Properties. Bring it back to the beginning. And then fuck this away, and then I should be able to. Because this is a worth it rant. I feel like this is something people should see. Here you go.
When I see the Make America Great Again, my comment is, do you accept that that could possibly be construed as a racist remark? And most people, a lot of people go, how could that be racist? Make America great again? I said, so just ask yourself from an African American experience, when was it ever great in America for the African American? When was it great? So if you're making it great again, it's not including them. So it's to teach us in the woke world to open up and accept the possibilities that our privilege has created blind spots for us. And maybe I haven't seen what is really happening yet in all my years.
So, that's based. I like that a lot. That's what I was talking about. So, when he says that, he encapsulates a lot of the stuff that I was saying, you know, for years And so it was nice to hear it from somebody who has a platform. Yeah, Minty, see? America was great for AAs before welfare. I don't know what you mean, but hello, antisocial contract. What is AAs? Oh, African Americans. No, it wasn't. There was Jim Crow. There was fucking fire hoses in the streets. You know, welfare didn't stop African American greatness. The burning of Black Wall Street and the bombing of Philadelphia Move did that. Like, let's not pretend here. Like, we have a president who has issues with busing in his history. We have, you know, ex-presidents whose wives were talking about bringing super predators to heel. We have presidential candidates whose entire campaigns are financed by a mayor, Bloomberg, who said you could Xerox a description and throw them against a wall. You know? Yeah, Tulsa. Or like, you know, try that in a small town, James Aldean, where he's in front of a lynching site that became a race riot site because there was a lynching there. You know? And his promotion on TikTok having like a little racist newspaper clipping where it's like, yeah, we ran this anti-racist satirist out of town. Try that in a small town. Try making jokes about fucking white people in a small town. You know? Welfare wasn't the cutoff point. It was never good for basically anyone, but it was super not good for black people. And welfare didn't like welfare wasn't like the, oh no, we've got welfare and now black people have it so terrible. Also, I missed quite a bit of messages, so let me move back here. Also, the interrogation scene was so intense, Joker really got to Batman. Yeah, that's good stuff. Valor says he made friends on Roblox, about 5 and all, because we were flying a boat being held up by 2 balloons tied to a train. Ah. UV, hello. And I invited Jester. She said she's going to watch this after. Yeah, like, things have been ass for literally everyone poor, but especially the poorest of the poor with the least generational wealth. So, yeah, black people did not have it great before welfare. I don't know where you got that, but it's not true. Yeah, like, I feel like the real cutoff point, if anything, was like, you know, right after the 80s. Because then all of the riots that had happened, like all of the unrest that had happened in the 80s over police brutality and shit, were really hammered up as excuses to militarize the police. And I also feel like the crack epidemic that the CIA manufactured, and the heroin epidemic that the CIA manufactured, all of that shit, like, so heavily impacted the like lowest classes, especially black people, that essentially they had so many military vehicles moving through their street, so much more militarization, so many more no-knock raids, so much more stop and frisk, so much more, you know, civil asset forfeiture, so much more qualified immunity, so much more of this, like, and it just got progressively worse and worse. I'm reading your message, and I don't remember what I was talking about when I said whatever that was, or even having said it. Let me look into something. Hello, Jester. Yeah, actually, just link me to that. Because I don't quite remember saying that, but yeah, Minty, that was the Philadelphia move bombing. The Philly Police Department like put satchels of C4 next to a fuel oil tank, and exploded the fuel oil tank, thus killing people in the top of it, many people in a multi-block radius, and burning the building down that people were barricaded into in order to like stop the cops from entering. And then this building that was barricaded from the inside started to burn down, and like just families and children and shit like burned alive and choked on smoke and shit like that. And the entire radius of buildings, like, this is a fuel oil tank. So the entire radius of buildings around that was just decimated. Like war crime level decimated by a satchel of C4 next to a fuel oil tank in Philadelphia, done by the cops to American citizens. So, yeah, I mean, no, welfare was not the reason black people have it bad. Thoughts analysis on Bane's speech from The Dark Knight Rises. Which speech? I think there's probably like a ton of them. Do you mean the one about the prison? Oh, I was being sarcastic, Valor, in that quote. I was being sarcastic. I was providing counterexamples for, like, Christians who aren't. So, I have a tendency to be an asshole. But yeah, I mean, Cold Highway. Do you mean the speech about the prison? I don't know. Okay. I feel like that's a video on its own. But I mean, we take Gotham from the corrupt, the rich, the oppressors of generations who've kept you down with the myth of opportunity. Yeah. That's the thing. I tend to sympathize with the villains in Batman quite a bit. And then, the Titans happen, and it's an interesting interplay on its own. Yeah, like, I mean, here's the thing. Like, prisons make a great place to form an alternate army, especially since so many of these people are in there for nonviolent defenses, and then they're trained to be violent by a system that put them in there when they didn't deserve to be in there, or even a greater level, right? Innocence Project, where they're finding out like so many methods of evidence are garbage. So many methods of evidence are just trash. And they don't find evidence, they don't prove guilt, they just mean that, like blood spatter analysis. No, in fact, you can't fully and completely analyze how a crime happened by looking at blood spatters, or like the pattern of like burn on the wall doesn't give you a picture of where the fire necessarily started or who started it, or bite marks. Like, no, a lot of teeth make a lot of weird impressions, and the pressure might be different with some mouths versus others, and it's like so many. And so, like, a prison makes a great place to recruit, right? Um, and then you get to the point where it's like the reason the prison often exists is because the crime is the result of a society that has created the underclass and kept them there, like really pounded them into the ground, right? So yeah, the myth of opportunity. If you don't have generational wealth, you're fucked into the poor class. If you don't have generational wealth, or suck the cock of somebody who has generational wealth, you are fucked. Venture capital, right? Please give me money, venture capital firm. Oh, precious venture capital firm, please give me money. I want this thing to succeed, and I can't do it on my own because of the way the system is set up. Please give me money. Angel investor, please give me money. Please add me to your index fund. Oh, like mass, like fund manager. Please allow me access to your society, to your civilization, and then I will grovel at your boot forever and ever, because I have to. I have to follow your rules in order to keep my access to the system. And I have to participate in your culture, and I have to do what you say, and I have to think what you want, or I can't have access to your culture. You know? Like, some asshole like me, who's just speaking against the system, even if I started to do some of the stuff that some of these other people have, I'm not going to allow myself to be commodified, which means I'm not going to get the same access that, for instance, a Rage Against the Machine would if I started making music. Because I'm not going to, you know, allow my message to be put through the lens of somebody like Warner. And I'm not saying that they're completely off, but, you know, Testify is a great song. It's a bash, you know? And it's right outside your door, and it's like, testify for a grand jury. Because if we undergo this legal process, we might get some traction. You know, I'm much more on board with Immortal Technique. He is independent on his own label. He never had to, like, you know, make his messages to the point where it's like, let's undergo a legal process. And eventually, Zach De La Rocha of Rage Against the Machine started to make music that was more overtly against the system, and also work with RTJ to make music that was just like, hey, kill your masters. Hey, YouTube, that's the name of a song. Just in case anybody wants to claim this video for, like, ooh, encouraging violence. You know, when he made that song with RTJ, that to me signaled that he became frustrated with the more nuanced and liberal, forward-friendly messaging he was giving before. And that's good, but it's also the reason that, like, you really have to toe the line if you want that, like, huge money from the established classes. You know? Like, it's not, you're not going to be able to get the same level of traction from the lowest classes, from the poor people, as you will if you already started out rich. You know? And so when Bane says that, when he talks about, like, oppressors of generations, that's generational wealth he's talking about it. The corrupt, the rich, he's talking about how society has been set up so that people like Bruce Wayne can be the controllers of it. And it's like, true. Like, Bruce Wayne is an oligarchical fascist when you think about it. And it's sort of like, let me justify total surveillance and total control over this city because I have a huge amount of money. And that's my reason. I have a huge amount of money and I'm sad about the death of my parents, so I should be able to run the joint. It's like, it's understandable that there would be people who don't like this paradigm. You know? Especially since the vast majority of people who get the fuck beat out of them in movies like this are the lower classes, and occasionally some scraping at the middle, and very rarely scraping at the top. So I guess that should answer your question, Cold Highway. In a very bipolar, schizoaffective kind of way. Hello, Eek. He says, I was born dirt cheap, then I worked my ass off to do well, then my crazy ex ruined all I had built over 15 years. Yep. Yeah, and you don't have institutional protectionism, so you can't, like, I know the judge, and I'm gonna get this thrown out of court in 2 minutes because we're both on the same payrolls. You know, that's the kind of corruption Bane was talking about. If that answers y'all's question. Boog says most of the... Hello, Boog, by the way. Most of the good artists sold out. Radham broke my heart. I still like a lot of their music, and they still make a lot of good points. I'm not going to not listen to Renegades of Funk while I'm picturing redacted police officers. You know, but, yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem because they have to keep their money. And if they're not willing to help the people who help them get their money keep their money, it's not going to work. I did not hear that an official Sonic creator likes Sontails, but, I mean, which one? You're free to link me to whatever. Boog says, after Cobain, everything started falling apart. You know, no. I can confidently say no. There's still a lot of really fucking good stuff. Like, okay, from a Boog perspective, horror. H09909. Fucking awesome. Health puts out some anarchist-leaning music. You know, ELP. I'll Sleep When You're Dead is such an excellent album. You know, fucking... A lot of the scene music, like Motionless in White, has such a great album, like Countdown to Extinction, I think is, or Countdown to Apocalypse, something. It's, I'll look it up a little bit later. It's really, really good. And Falling in Reverse has a lot of like anarchist leaning music. Bring Me the Horizon literally has a song called Kingslayer about killing government officials. You know, fucking Dead, DED, put out an excellent album called Misanthrope, and it's got so many good songs on it. Especially if you like edgy music where they're screaming into a microphone. You know, I can keep listing stuff and over and stuff. You know, like, Phil Labonte. Shout out to Phil from Phil That Remains. And the fact that he has some good ideas on his own and occasionally works those into his music with All That Remains. You know, we're mutuals on Twitter, and I still respect like a shit ton of the stuff he's done. His version of the Thunder Rolls, by the way, the All That Remains version of the Thunder Rolls, respectful to country, but still hard as fuck. If you want a version of that song, it's great. And I could keep listing. I feel like it's just the fact that music itself has become so saturated and so corporate and such affiliated with pop, and it has to meet a certain set of guidelines or it's not going to make a whole lot of money, so it's not going to get circulated as much. I feel like like, okay, Boog says, yes, there's still great anarchist content. What I'm talking about is how the establishment leveraged the media, particularly MTV, to redirect the zeitgeist toward their hegemony. I mean, yes, okay. And I'm not saying that's not the case. I'm just saying, like, in terms of music, like, it's not falling apart. You just have to go closer to the underground in order to experience the good stuff. Which has always basically been the case. It's just that for a brief sort of moment, they did some experiments, some A and B testing in like the 80s and 90s to see what they could co-opt, to see what they could commodify, recuperate, brand, label, produce. And so they were like, you know, here's what we can get away with posting that's not going to incite too much actual authentic rebellion, but that's going to keep the people in the consumption cycle buying merch and music and never actually moving the needle in any dramatic form. Like, maybe getting angry enough while listening to this that they can, like, do the occasional riot or two, but, like, not actually moving anything, not actually... So, they did that A and B testing. They found out how it worked. They did enough testing that they were like, hey, now we know what to do. Now we know how to hit that bead of, you know, authentic rage without ever actually having these angry people do anything about our generations of corruption. So I feel like music is still great. It's just that it's, you know, the stuff that was willing to be compromised has been so heavily compromised, and that's what's been pushed so much that, you know, it's like the mainstream artistic swing is one way. Like, if you ever just got your music from MTV, sure, absolutely. What's on MTV was no longer good, like, fucking recently. You know, you could go on VH1 to maybe find some good stuff. And that's even for stuff past 2000s at this point, because, you know, we're the old guys now, and now we're doing classic rock from our youth. So it's like, all this stuff builds up, and it's like they've found out how to pip into that bead of, like, counterculture without ever actually letting that culture counter anything. So, you know, that's my take. And like, even some of the mainstream stuff, like Megadeth is mainstream, but they're fucking great. Even, and here's me, everyone in chat is gonna, like, fucking die inside for some reason because it's true, but they don't like it when I fucking say it. Five Finger Death Punch, it's great music. I don't fucking care. I really don't fucking care. Fucking don't care. Like, imagine not liking music that is against the establishment to, like, the degree that it is. That's willing to consistently call out corporations, cops, troops, you know, the financial system, society in general, and how they're, like, leaving people in the dirt. You know, Five Finger Death Punch is fucking great, and, like, okay, cool. So two people believe that Five Finger Death Punch is good, and then one of them left. So yeah, that's that. Minty says never heard them. Well, if you want audible testosterone, you can listen to Five Finger Death Punch, because that's basically what it is. They're very angry at the government. Well, so, Eek, listen to their latest album. It's fucking great. And their album is all about, like, modern society and the dystopia within. And they have such great music. Like, Welcome to the Circus, Roll Them Bones is like Boog Music 101. Okay? Roll Them Bones is basically like, well, you didn't want to change, and so now all I'm left with is violence. You know? Options. System of a Down is still keeping it real. Are they making new albums? I didn't hear that there was a new Sode. If you want to find me somewhere, I don't remember what your socials were, but if you want to send me the latest Sode album, if they have one, feel free. Valor says, how come everyone who likes punk either ends up offing themselves or becomes Orthodox Christian? I'm not sure the latter happens overwhelmingly a lot, but like, fucking, you know, I still like punk, but I'm one of those people. I like the genres that you're not allowed to like concurrently. And I like the people that you're not allowed to like concurrently. I don't do camps. I'm not in groups. I like good music. And people who don't like that can go fuck themselves. The whole point of the counterculture is that you're supposed to be able to say no to an establishment. And I didn't sign up so that I could get another establishment. Minty says, how is Twitter? Is it even worse? Yeah, I mean, it's getting worse all the fucking time. All the fucking time it's getting worse. Because it's run by a billionaire who has a lot of bootlicking simps who are also temporarily embarrassed millionaires and billionaires, whatever. You know, these people really want to be Elon Musk. And so they're fine with any level of tyranny, any level of lies, any level of censorship, any level of corruption, because it's Elon Musk doing it. All right? And as a result of Elon Musk being this way, we get this fundamental evil that brews up, that builds up, because he has a specific type of thing he wanted to push. And that's the real reason that he bought this social media thing. It's not because he cares about discourse. If he did, he wouldn't have silenced Iranian dissidents. Turkish dissidents. He wouldn't have, like, you know, censored the accounts of people just so that, like, he could take their username by force. He wouldn't have, you know, silenced critics, silenced jokers while saying that comedy is now legal on Twitter. He wouldn't have created a slow lane for non-blue checks so that you had to give him KYC information in order to get basic access to fucking Twitter. He wouldn't have said, you know, we're going to deboost negative content, meaning that it won't appear in the trending and for you and blah blah sections, and then demonstrably lie about that, because no, it's not. You can find so much negative content there. You can find so much negative content there. It's just negative against the groups and people he wants to be negative to. It's actually a really good example of, like, people who claim to oppose the establishment getting a new establishment. And he gets government contract money so that he can launch surveillance satellites in the air, and everybody's like, but fast internet, I can play League of Legends in Belize now. It's like, fuck off, fuck you, shut the fuck up. And it's like, it's so deeply frustrating, you know? And not just government contract money for satellites, also for literal compliance. He's part of the government's sustainable development enforcement agenda, and all of these anti-globalist, anti-WEF, people who are against the green agenda, they support electric car guy number 1, who's making remote controllable and stoppable vehicles, which will be the mandatory norm in like 2035. Okay? And then, after all of this, he's literally, even in the present day, getting what are called regulatory credits, which are, this manufacturer didn't do what we want, so we're going to give the money to you. We're going to take money from this manufacturer who's not doing what we want and give it to Tesla because they are. And people who don't like the green agenda or globalism or the WEF or the Great Reset or the green blah, 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 they don't like that, but then they're willing to go with the guy who's solely responsible for advancing that agenda in the most massive way right now, and who literally just gave him a free speech platform to Linda Yaccarino of the World Economic Forum, who says that they are going to suspend your reach, that they are going to stop your negative content, that if it's lawful but awful, they will silence you. And these motherfuckers, these dumb little bitches, they're just like, eh? He lets me say transphobic slurs. He lets me deny the Holocaust. That's good enough for me. He's on my side. Fucking moron. Fucking moron. They're fucking morons. They're fucking stupid. Got a little heated. Also, his fucking suppression algorithms, they are so effective that when I tried to check my analytics the other day to see if I made enough analytics to get monetized, it said that I hadn't even tweeted in August, and I fucking had. But they fucked the algorithm because they fucked the way the platform assesses tweets, and they artificially limit access to certain information and content, and he's a lying censorious hack. So all of this happened, and this is considered fine by the conservatives, the conservatives, the fucking muskoid, fucking rightoid, fucking transphobic gaggle of cluster-fucked little bitch boys. Okay? That's fine by them. It's fine by them that he is gutting speech on Twitter because he's gutting it while giving them preferential access and maybe a little bit of money. But here's the thing. You have to make 5 million impressions a month. You have to make 5 million impressions a month. That's untenable for the vast majority of people. You don't have to have that many impressions on fucking YouTube to get monetized. On fucking Facebook to get monetized. You don't have to have that many impressions. But on Twitter you do? Why the fuck, Elon? And so he's literally just doing this so that the accounts which have already been giving him so much fucking suck off, those accounts can make bank. And the accounts that have been keeping the platform running otherwise, they don't get shit because they don't have as much reach because he intentionally limited their reach. If you don't pay him money, you're not allowed to get monetized. It's one of the rules that you have to be subscribed to Twitter or to X Premium. You know? And so you have to pay him money. All of these people have to pay him money. And then a few of them, a select few that he hasn't individually suppressed, who aren't already suppressed by being not verified, who aren't already super suppressed by being not verified and saying things he doesn't like, those people those select few make bank, and like more than a few of them are just content farms. They steal from other people. In Internet Hall of Fame, for instance, like everything this account has is from somebody else. That's the point. And you know who the highest payout went to? Internet Hall of fucking Fame. $100,000 fucking dollars for other people's content. So Elon sets up this essentially like social media oligarchic landscape of fascist hellholism and censors whoever he doesn't like and whoever the government tells him to. Because, yes, he's working with governments to censor people. He literally banned a ton of Turkish accounts right before their election. He literally banned a ton of accounts at the behest of a ton of other governments. He literally has been suppressing the shit out of people. This is okay. You know, so is his support of the SDGs. So is his support of the WEF and handing it over to them. So is him suppressing negative content and things that are lawful but awful. So is blah, blah, blah. All of this he does all of this, but he's still free speech guy. He's still fucking like anti-establishment daddy. Even while Lindy Yaccarino herself says they are going to connect Twitter to the fucking financial system. They are going to clone WeChat. Elon Musk literally said he's going to copy WeChat. And now she's saying an AI-powered system that is connected to the financial structure will be powering Twitter. And I was right from the start, because I've been warning about this for a long time now, that all this KYC information would eventually be linking you to the global financial system and to CBDC and used as a component of social credit scores. I was right, and people still hate me and love Musk. Fuck! Yeah, I'm a little bit pissed. Just a little. Just a wee tad. So that's what I think. That's how Twitter is going, Mitzi. To answer your fucking question. Anyway. I have bipolar 1. I'm unmedicated. This is... Please be patient, I'm bipolar. I'm gonna answer these other fucking chat messages soon. I need to eat something. Anyway. Scrolling up. Apologies for those of you who had their ears forcibly penetrated just now. That wasn't great, probably. I get heated about the advance of global fascism. Alright. So, hello Shadow and Light, assuming you're still here. I saw a lot of people leave and join during my rant, so I don't know, fucking... Boog says, one thing that's encouraging to me is that the MSM has lost so much market share to the point where independent news is... You know, though, is it? Is it? Because if Joe Rogan, who was directly affiliated with MSM, if, you know, Russell Brand, who was directly affiliated with MSM, if, you know, Tucker Carlson, who was directly affiliated with MSM, if all these MSM personalities start to filter into these alternative media spaces and say the same things that the mainstream press of their choice was saying at the given time, I'm not sure that qualifies. You know, it's like when dad starts to like what you like. It's not cool anymore. You know, it does. Corpos, get out. Eek says, classic, don't replace one tyranny with another. Yup, yeah. Hey, let's replace this system that controls for X reasons with this other system that controls for Y reasons. Yeah, and it's like, it doesn't move the needle because the needle is like fluctuating in the same spot, like left and right a little bit, and it doesn't it always stays center right, because this is a state capitalist society. So because it stays in this area, it doesn't matter if it wiggles left and right a little bit, because it's still in the same general status quo. The Overton window can keep changing to define what's acceptable, but like it's always going to end up coming back to center. Um, you know, and so like the general vibe is that like X and Y are both controlled by the same people and both benefit the same people, because if you can get people convinced that this is good for them, even though it fucks them, they'll keep doing this forever. You know, so Minty says Elon simps don't want free speech, they want their speech. Absolutely. Jester says he pisses me off. Bad man. Yeah, basically. Valor says, I found a lot of negative stuff on Twitter. I don't like it. Yeah. Yeah, it's a shithole. It's worse now. It's so much more toxic, yo. Boog says Elon has demonstrated that he's not supportive of free speech. Absolutely. He's an abject opponent of free speech. Valor says, yeah, Tate is also bad. Yeah, 100%. Eek says Elon has a huge cult just like that Tate dude. Because fuck Andrew Tate. Holy shit. I have content coming against him as well. I have a lot of... I've had to take gig work lately because due to no fault of his own, one of my like most reliable and biggest donors can't do it anymore. So, you know, I'm not... I got a lot of support from this guy. I am not, you know, demanding it back. I'm saying that like I've been having to take gig work basically in order to make rent, and because the new place is going to be more expensive, the one that I can make better and more content at, and the one that I will have some help making that better and more content and living more anarchistically. So that's what I'm going to be doing, is moving to this new place, and I need as reliable and as much income as possible to make it work. So I've been doing some gig work lately, and that's been taking up a shit ton of my time. But there's going to be a lot of stuff coming. A lot of stuff. Boog says, that's the open secret about Musk. He's naked in bed with government. Yeah. Yeah. But his simps, his little bootlickers, don't want you talking about it. Oh, also, I have a protein shake. Like... And this protein shake has like Muscle Tech protein powder and also raw milk, because I got a good deal on that recently. You're not allowed to talk about that. You're not allowed to talk about Elon and his being in bed with government, because if you do, his simps will breathe down your neck forever. Because their whole deal is that now that Elon Musk is here, the controls that he's putting in place are for our freedom or whatever. And now, if you bring up that, hey, these things and their compounding effects with all the other things he's involved with are actually bad for our freedom, though, they'll eat you alive if they see your content. Like, you know, they'll come in and fucking bitch it out. And like, try to get you kicked off Twitter. Because the new cancel culture is anything against this new paradigm. They're trying to create the new normal. It's really fucking sick. Valor says blue checks have the worst takes. Yep. Boog says, and mining and processing cobalt is worse than burning gas for the environment and even worse for the workers. Cobalt mining is mostly slave labor. Yeah, and like child slave labor as well. Like you see these pits, they're just swarming with like, you know, hundreds of thousands of people. Like scraping around in the soil for like a little tiny, and then like, you know, coming out of it, and their like hands are cut up and they're bruised and shit, and they're dehydrated and malnourished and shit, you know, and then they don't get paid that much. Like, Yeah, we definitely have to have the fastest, latest technology so that, and that's one of the things. Now that a lot of these Middle Eastern and African and Asian countries are like, pulling out of U.S. agreements because the U.S. is being giant hypocrites and saying that, oh no, we need to fund Ukraine and run massive wars in the region and cut off Russia and all this shit, because Russia, intervened, like invaded, by the way, but I'm speaking from their perspective. Um, we're gonna pull out of all these agreements. Uh, now the U.S. needs a new source of oil, a new source of metals, a new source of blah blah blah. South America and Mexico are their new targets, and that's the reason that they're blowing up this fentanyl scare, and the reason that they're saying, ooh, drugs and blah blah, crime, trafficking. We need to go south of the border and stop this evil and bomb Mexico. That's what the US government has people saying, like right wing officials, Republican bitches saying you should bomb Mexico because they have cobalt in South America. They have these resources, these minerals. We've got a chip shortage because China's part of BRICS and they're sick of US intervention. Let's just go to fucking South America then and bomb anyone who gets in our way. Like, it's evil, yo. This isn't fucking free market jack goddamn shit. This is state capitalism, and it's part of the neoliberal global agenda of pushing state capitalism and, like, crushing any alternatives. It's fucking evil. Anyway. Eek says, I don't expect Musk unhooked the Intel community's direct feed to Twitter. People will say the truth always comes out. Sure, maybe, but when it does, will the people in power do something about it? And act? They almost always do not. Yeah, because they want their power, and they're gonna keep their fucking power. Boog says, dude, after Alan Turing and his team at Bletchley Park built the first computer and cracked the Enigma code, I would have thought there'd be more hate for queer people. I'm like, the last time we had Nazis, we needed oppressed minorities to help us win. Can we not pick on trans people? I'll bet dimes to dollars that the solution is to resolving that. I'm assuming that you said that that's the solution to making the new Nazis. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been saying that. Like, and I've got an article coming out that's basically saying the same thing. I'll keep y'all posted. Valor says, you're more angry than 051, and that's a lot. Yeah, basically. Minji says, I'm so glad I abandoned ship. I never want to go back to Twitter. Boog says, what gets me most is most people don't know shit about what Elon Musk is actually doing. Most people decide if they like someone or not based on interviews and other silly shit. Yeah, like that one where he was on CBS and it looked like he was about to cry, and he's like, I would rather die than give up my free speech. Nobody's asking you to give up your free speech, bitch. And in fact, you're demanding that a bunch of people give up their free speech, bitch. Fuck. Valor says, my adult friend apologized. Oh, that's good. Shadow and Light. I've got beans and rice with an egg in it. And it's heavily seasoned, and I'm also adding, and I also added some cheese and some of this knockoff store brand Red Hot. Eek says, I didn't look it up if it was true or not, but saw a meme earlier. It stated that even as a slave for a pharaoh, you were only taxed 20% of your crops compared to today's taxes. Yeah, maybe. That sounds kind of a little bit far-fetched. Zilch from the book Deal Thief, by the way. Oh. Yeah, and he's doing rounds of promotion for the Jones Plantation. I gotta look into this. I gotta really look into this. Because you could use that right now. Minty says the U.S. is at fault for the drug crisis. Remember when Elon boasted about cooing anyone we want during the Bolivian crisis? Yeah, basically. Boog says I rarely disagree with you. Ah, good to hear. Well, you're welcome in my Discord if you're not already there. I believe we met on Discord. Oh, I dropped a bean. What's my favorite Bible book besides Matthew? Valor asks. That's a hard one. Well, you know what? I'll just cut to the chase. Revelation. Revelations is great. Because it predicted a significant amount of what's here. I mean, I probably leaned on a lot of Revelations in order to come to a lot of my conclusions. Mintu says, aren't the Sonic comics your Bible? One of them. You know, if you think about it, Bible just means book. Corinthians is fine, Valor, but it's also letters to the Church of Corinth that are routinely misinterpreted on purpose by malicious actors who want to justify the state and other evil entities. It has to be read in the proper context with the proper spirit, or it's going to fuck the actual meaning. Imagine if that was how the pastors spoke. And thus saith the Lord, it shall surely fuck the authentic meaning of this. Yeah, like Matthew though. If more Christians were willing to both read and rely on the words in Matthew, Christianity would be so much fucking better. You would have less hypocrites, less money changers, less thieves, liars, rapists, abusers, frauds, pedophiles, fucking, it would be so much better in the church and everywhere else if people read Matthew and followed a significant amount of it. But so many pastors are just like, nope, that's going to do bad things for my image if I focus too heavily on this, so let's not do that. And then you got, like, bitches like Matt Walsh who are like, let me use the Bible to justify all manner of evil. Oh, yeah. There's this group on Telegram called End Human Trafficking and Save Our Children. I got banned. And the reason I got banned is because it's a group of conservative grifters who routinely use, like, other people's work to justify their own hatred for Democrats, the left, LGBT people. And so when I came in with my one image, because they were posting so many images relating to so many like Democrats and LGBT and all this stuff, that they were like, oh, this is the real child trafficking issue, shit. When I came in with my one image that was a screenshot of one tweet saying that, this problem is actually a lot broader than that, they banned me immediately. And then the guy in charge blocked me, which is a shame because I can't access my fucking messages with him anymore. And some of those messages were fucking hilarious, where he tried to claim that even just reading to a child in a drag queen story hour Reading, just reading, even if you're reading like, Henry David Thoreau to children, or Little House on the Prairie, or Chronicles of Narnia, even if you're just reading to them, you're a groomer because you're in drag. No, that's not how grooming works. Grooming is a long-term process of getting the trust of the child and then gradually abusing that trust. That is what it is. It is not anything else, and anybody claiming otherwise is a charlatan. It's a process by which you want to get an actual sexual relationship with a child. That's what grooming is. It's not an LGBT person did something I don't like. Or just existed to begin with. So, I posted... Actually, you know what? I'm going to put somebody on blast. I'm going to put this motherfucker on blast because I can and because I'm right here. So I might as well. But, this motherfucker, decided to come at me with pedophilia apologism because I posted this tweet. So, let me just go over some of this temporarily. Opening up that part of the shit. So, this was my post about the situation that I got banned, and this was what this was relating to. Nathan Larson was a neo-reactionary white supremacist convicted pedophile. Scott Ritter is a twice convicted child predator. Matt Walsh wants it to be acceptable to fuck 16-year-old girls. Nick Fuentes wants them younger. Thaddeus Russell and Eliza Blue soften adult child sex. Maleft, though. So, I posted this, and I got banned from the anti-child trafficking group. And then, this guy comes in, who has opinions. He says, Matt Walsh wants it to be acceptable to fuck 16-year-old girls? Pretty sure that it's legal in most of the world in many U.S. states. Pretty sure you can get married at 16 in many states. In Islam and Judaism, a girl becomes a woman when she has her first menstrual cycle. And he got ratioed to fuck. Nobody liked that comment. Nobody retweeted that comment. So, first off, no, that's not true. And Charles Lee took the time to say that. And second off, this is great because it's like a bunch of people came out and said, no, that's not in fact true. Of course, this guy just called me a pedophile for not opposing This Book is Gay. Because I've actually read it and it's not what people claim it is. I'll be doing a review at some point, but I do research. I actually know what I'm talking about, which makes me hateful to a lot of conservatives. I'm surprised he hasn't blocked me yet, but he was in my server, this DGN Morgan guy, and he got mad at me for saying, well, hey, if we're going to ban books with sexual obscenity, we need to ban the Bible as well. I don't want to do that, but that would make equal sense. And he says, you use the book of my faith to, promote this other one. You must be a chomo later, and he left my server. So he's banned now. Anyway, also he has a weird economic theory I might go over at some point in a video. But so this guy posts this garbage, and then I get into a few conversations like this one right here, and this guy gets into a conversation with this guy, right? So he won't answer the question. He won't say he's not gonna fuck kids. He won't say that he opposes fucking kids. The only thing that he'll dance around the issue. Dance. And J.A. Bratton is willing to say, I don't think it's moral anywhere. And I posted my Matt Walsh video. Actually, let me play this as well. I might as well.
That's interesting, Helen. You're saying that rigid gender roles, as you would describe them, give rise to trans ideology. Well, Helen, did you watch the section of the film where I go to the Maasai tribe in Kenya?
An attempt by the area MCA, James Lesere, to intervene was futile as he was chased away from the meeting, accused of being part of the leadership that is against FGM. Even the police were unwelcome here. It is a cultural practice that has been termed as retrogressive, harmful to a woman's health, and one that should not be tolerated by modern society. The Kajiado women think otherwise.
They have extremely well-defined and rigid gender roles and have for literally thousands of years, and they've never even heard of transgenderism. In fact, my, quote, traditional view of sex was the dominant view across the entire world, everywhere, in all places, everywhere on the planet, since the dawn of human civilization up until just this past century.
If society was if society was different and that we stopped insisting that you're a kid until you're 25 and we just deal with the reality that at about 16 you're an adult who is mature and can make decisions. You are that at 16. I don't care what anybody says. And if you're going to tell me it's different, well then how come for the first 10,000 years of human civilization that's the way it was? It's just recently where all of a sudden we're all retards until we're 25. Teen pregnancy is a new problem.
Yes.
In the sense that it's only recently that we decided that it is a problem. Okay? But it is not a new problem in the sense that it's a new phenomenon. It is not. In fact, ever since the beginning of time, teenage girls have been getting pregnant. So what I'm saying is that the problem is not per se teenage pregnancy, it's unwed pregnancy. That's the problem in society. It's only problematic when you are not married and you don't have the man there to help you take care of the kid.
I think that pretty much says it all. Don't y'all? I don't understand how this guy doesn't get called a groomer. It makes no fucking sense how if an LGBT person would say the same thing Matt Walsh just said, they would get called a groomer, but he's safe because he came out with a transphobic documentary they liked. But it doesn't need to make like logical, rational, complete sense to the rest of us. It just needs to make sense within the framework that these people are malignant, narcissist sociopaths who don't care about other people. These people are evil. So, and I'll find some other videos that I'll be making videos on at some point soon. But I feel like that Matt Walsh video says a lot. And I'll be making some videos soon that'll just be like little mashups of some right-wingers making some sus points. Eek says a lot of blind obedience promotion, no thanks. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I also probably wasn't looking at chat, maybe? Minty says Republicans love labeling trans people as groomers, yet they're the ones who vigorously, my brain said Viagra, the ones who vigorously defend child marriage. Really makes you think, yeah. Boog says, what the righties don't understand is how calling anything queer grooming takes away from stopping actual groomers. Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah. Because then they can just say, well, hey, this is just alarmism. You know, pay no attention. You know, and they can also then point at, they can tell a kid, these people aren't rational. Look at how irrational they're being. Look at how bigoted they are. No wonder they hate me too. You know? It's such garbage. Such garbage. Valor says the fact they had an Orthodox cross in their name, God, bruh. Yeah, basically. Minty says, no surprise he has a Pinochet snake PFP, considering his regime sent children to Villa, Bavaria, where a cult sexually abused them. Yeah! Isn't that something? You know, I should make stuff on things like that to really hammer it home. These bitches are fucking... They've been picking away at every single piece of patience I had left. Boog says, every day I feel like humanity is losing its collective mind. How do people have internet access but still don't see the relationship between authority figures and child molestation? Yeah, basically. Jester said that snake guy sounds like Kella a lot. Minty says Matt Walsh should have his hard drive checked. Yeah. And since he's a fascist and a big government guy, I wouldn't care if that happened to him. Valor says, I'm so scared if my parents agree with that. Yeah, it's not a good world. Boog says Matt Walsh does get called a groomer. By me. Good. Jester says all this political stuff in the background and I've just been putting together outfits, lol. Yeah. Yeah. After that UAP hearing. It sounds familiar, but I don't remember what the UAP hearing was. You can fill me in. I'm waiting for it to come out that Walsh, Shapiro, and Tate are actually the reptilians from the QAnon conspiracy theory. Would not be surprised. Minty says, also that snake guy had pure blood in his bio. Yeah, see, for some people that's a dog whistle for, like, racist shit. But for some people, they're using it as a way to say, like, you know, I didn't take the jab. And in that context, to me, it's funny. So, I can't totally knock that. Alright. Either way, this has been going on for an hour 22. So let's say 7 more minutes, unless there's a lot of stuff y'all want to still discuss. Yeah, there's raw milk, some Muscle Tech protein powder, which not sponsored, but sponsor me, Muscle Tech.
I'll read your ad in this edgy voice every single time. And if anyone else needs this voice for their ad, feel free to hit me up. I'm doing this naturally. No mods, no nothing. I'm this annoying already, and you can have me in your ad. You like that? So I can talk about muscle tech, nitro tech.
I come from the 90s, and I'm from California. That should tell you everything you need to know about why I can do that fucking voice. So there's Muscle Tech in here, there's coconut oil, and there's raw milk. Minty is dying. I have killed her. Type something you want me to read in that voice. I'll read it in that voice. Select Intelligence Committee had a hearing and whistleblowers said that Lockheed, Skunkworks, Raytheon, McDonnell, Douglas, and others have been recovering and reverse engineering UAP illegally. Send me a link to that. And tell me what network you sent it on so that I can know. That sounds interesting. I think I vaguely heard about that, but I did not actually look into it. I can't listen to music right now, or after this thing, because I've got some things I'm taking care of. I'm going to finish an article and see if I can get it posted by the end of the day. But basically, if you want that bot, depending on what it is, in my server, I can put it there as well, and you can ask around. There's probably somebody. Anything recent on Ukraine and Russia? Well, a lot of people are, you know, a lot of people are like laughing at Zelensky at this point, and they're actively doing drone warfare in the heart of Russia at this point. So it's like they're increasing the sort of taunting, like, you know, do more, do more, do more, because then the U.S. might have to intervene, and then being involved in a wartime environment with these people anyway might justify the inclusion into NATO. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, there's going to be a lot this week. There's going to be a lot. Well, send me a copy pasta in Discord, Minty. I'll read what you send me within reason. Anything new on Dan? I mean, I'm going to be making that video soon. So anyone who wants to make... Well, any adult anyway, who's not, you know, compromised by their involvement in certain elements of this situation. And any minor who wants to draw something safe for work, feel free. It will be included and used in the video. Assets of Dan and various poses of my persona that Jester so kindly produced. But not too much new on that front. But there will be. Because, let me just put it to you this way. One of her close friends has realized what a snake she is. And he doesn't want to be, like, you know, involved too much in that. He's going to take a completely hands-off stance supporting her now. But he's pissed. Because he found out he backed the wrong horse. Another person. Link is in your Discord DMs. I don't see one in my Discord DMs. Are you sure? Direct messages. Yeah, I don't see one. I'm not going to say too much, Jester, because it might compromise some interesting channels into evidence that would be usable in the video. But let me just put it to you this way. My persistence paid off in a regard. My new account on Discord is Smealm Boog News Network. I'll type that in chat so you can just copy and paste it. I picked the grossest name on the fucking planet. Because I started this account so that I could fuck with somebody who was sexually harassing a friend of mine. And I wanted it to be an incredibly gross name that would upset him just by reading it. And let's just say within the first, like, several hours, he stopped, and then eventually he fucked off the platform entirely. Accepted the invite. Yeah, see, that's the thing, Valor. It does sound funny. And imagine, I have some effect in some community somewhere. And, like, this has happened before, you know, so it's not a hypothetical. And, like, I'm banned and people are, like, authentically, I trigger their psychological shit when they see my name. And like, seeing my profile picture pop up gives them anxiety and, you know, fucking... Imagine that's the case, and the name is Smealm, and it's a hedgehog profile pic. It's just like... If you get fucked by Smealm, just like... What are you doing? Yeah, Minty has watched this happen. Minty has watched my name be brought up and people just fucking die inside. All right, here we go. All right. Oh, okay. UAP. Yeah, okay. So that was that UFO garbage. Ah, 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 ah. You know, you know, I'm against the UFO thing. Let me just go off about this for a minute. Because it's an unidentified object. That's the whole deal. So they allegedly don't know what it is. It could be military tech. It could be this, it could be that. But you know what it probably isn't? Aliens. And if it is, then they have found out how to get tech good enough that they can speep across the galaxy or whatever, or even the universe, and then just be like, no, we're chill at this place, and turn around and fuck off. You know, and these people came to our rock. For why? For what reason? And then, like, they come here, they spreeble around in the sky a little bit. They're glowing with light, and they spreeble around in the sky a little bit, and then they fuck off. I feel like if the U.S. government wanted to test equipment, they could just say it was aliens or something. I'll go down the rabbit hole. Whatever info you want to send, you're free to send. I'm not 100% closed off. It's just I need evidence, And this is the other half of it. It's like conspiracy theorists, they're very much on board, and they're, they fuck the government. They would never trust them. They're bad. Right? The government said they saw UFOs. We believe them now. It's one of those things where I can't really just say, yeah, sure, I believe that now. So, I hate to just be a cynical ass all the time, but I can't. I can't. I'll see if I can. You might have posted the thing that makes me can, but I doubt that, and I think I'll probably can't in the end. Boog says, I didn't think anything about it until I saw David Grush's testimony, went down that rabbit hole, and holy shit. I'll do. You can send me whatever, but this is going to trigger my asshole reflex extremely hard. I'm going to have to, work so hard to keep it from just being unpuckered. Just be like, no, this isn't real. There's no way this is real. This is a psyop. That's where my brain already is about this. Because, okay, just going to say, again, anyone who wants to send me $100, I will make you a custom UFO video. Send me $100 and I'll send you the specs. You create the base layers and I will create you a UFO video that is convincing as these other UFO videos. So, also, I'm going to invite you to my server. There's a possibility you'll like it. But either way, okay. Boog says, you do great research. If I miss something, you'll find it. Just start by looking into Grush first. It's also a psyop, but it's more troubling than the official story. Ah! Well, I'll look into it. For sure. Welcome to the evil zone. There we go. Standard greeting. Either way, oh yeah, I've got the copy pasta from Minty. I've got to read that in this voice, if it's within reason. Okay, all right. Let me read this and make sure. I've never seen this before, but it's fucking great. Okay, all right. Disclaimer, this is not me. This is not my opinion. This is not my story. It's just funny. I have to, you know?
A liberal Muslim homosexual ACLU lawyer, professor, and abortion doctor was teaching a class on Karl Marx, a known atheist. Before the class begins, you must get on your knees and worship Marx and accept that he was the most highly evolved being the world has ever known, even greater than Jesus Christ. At that moment, a brave, patriotic, pro-life Navy SEAL champion who had served 1,500 tours of duty and understood the necessity of war and fully supported all military decisions made by the United States stood up and held up a rock. "How old is this rock, pinhead?" The arrogant professor smirked quite Jewishly, smugly replied, 4.6 billion years, you stupid Christian. "Wrong. It's been here 5,000 years since God created it. If it was 4.6 billion years old and evolution, as you say, is real, then it should be an animal now." The professor was visibly shaken and dropped his chalk and copy of Origin of the Species. He stormed out of the room crying those liberal crocodile tears, the same tears liberals cry for the poor, who today live in such luxury that most own refrigerators, when they jealously try to claw justly earned wealth from the deserving job creators. There is no doubt that at this point, our Professor Deshaun Washington wished he had pulled himself up by his bootstraps and became more than a sophist liberal professor. He wished so much that he had a gun to shoot himself from embarrassment, but he himself had petitioned against them. The students applauded and all registered Republican that day and accepted Jesus as their Lord and Savior. An eagle named Small Government flew into the room and perched atop the American flag and shed a tear on the chalk. The Pledge of Allegiance was read several times and God himself showed up and enacted a flat tax rate across the country. The professor lost his tenure and was fired the next day. He died of gay plague AIDS and was tossed into the lake of fire for all eternity. Semper Fi. P.S. Close the borders.
That's excellent. Fucking, you know a Republican like this. You know a Republican like this. Okay. All right. Disclaimer. That wasn't me. That wasn't my words. I just wanted to reenact that. Okay. Well, hey, if y'all liked that, then feel free to throw money at my fucking money hole, like, links in the description if that performance titillated you. I could use some rent. But, yeah, that's... Some Republican believes that guaranteed. Some Republicans took that super seriously. Oh, man. And some Democrat is going to find this stream someday and try to cancel me for reading a parody of Republicans. Because it was a parody that included things they wouldn't like. Anyway. Alright. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good place to slow it down. Chester Kitty says, that was so good that God himself came down and turned me straight. Yeah. Yeah. So, there's going to be articles, there's going to be videos. I had to do a lot of gig work this week in order to start saving up for this new place. Because I've got to have enough money in savings and enough money coming in from rent that I can afford a $400 emergency and also pay monthly rent. So I'm going to be doing a lot of gig work, but I'm going to find ways to make it fit. So, if y'all want to support it, I have support links in the description. Lots of ways to do that. But with all that being said, yeah. Smash the fucking state.